Good morning, pals. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to everybody joining us recorded. If you want to start to get yourself nice and set up somewhere that is comfortable, a little bit different today. We'll take some time in stillness as always to get us settled in, but I'm going to offer out a little bit of a guided meditation. For anyone that might like to take a part in that today. So we might just be there for a little bit longer. So it'll be nice to just make sure you are super comfortable. So you could be seated, you can use props under your knees, you can lie down if it's a bit more of a lying down morning. Just start to experiment with somewhere that feels really supportive. And then once you have found where you'd like to be, we're going to focus on the length of the spine. So if you're lying down, you can pretend I'm lying down. There's a cue you can take to lengthen out the back of the neck, where you interlace your hands, place them onto the back of your head. You're kind of going to gently put your skull up off the ground. Think about extending it up, and then gently tuck your chin as you kind of place it back down. If you're seated, you can take something similar just by simply lifting the top of the head, and then softly beginning to tuck the chin towards your chest. As always, the eyes can be opened or be closed as you prefer. And then once you've found your posture, just beginning to give yourself a little bit of time to start to settle into your space. To gently begin to land on your mat. Give yourself permission to loosen your grip, perhaps from your morning so far or your week so far. And from here we're going to start to collect awareness, start to collect focus, to begin to rest into the body, into the moment. For many of us, the breath is going to be a really helpful way to do that. So if you know that's helpful for you or you wanted to give it a go today, you can begin by just bringing your awareness to the flow of breath in and out the body. It's a fabulous thing as always. We can't breathe in the future, we can't breathe in the past. So when we do bring our awareness back to the breath, we're really giving ourselves this fullness of presence. We're allowing ourselves to really start to come into these more feeling states for practice. If it feels accessible, you could begin to work with just gently starting to slow the breath down. Just starting to cultivate a little more steadiness, a little more softness. Now slowing the breath down sounds like a really simple cue, which it is rationally, but it doesn't always mean it's practically simple to do. So if maybe the breath feels a little tighter, a little constricted, really common first thing in the morning, it can be a really nice option to instead take a couple sighs. So if you want to take those with me, I'll take big inhales. You can roll the shoulders at the same time if you like. Then a nice big sigh out through the mouth. We'll take a few more like that. Big breath in. If it feels good to make noise, let yourself make noise. You can experiment with starting to really drop the jaw to find a little more of a release of tension. If it feels helpful, if it feels really good, take a few more, take as many of those as you like. And then when it does feel like the right moment, just beginning to soften back. Perhaps allowing the breath to float back to a more natural rhythm. And again, you could play with just this steady deepening, slowing down at the breath. Maybe see if there's just a tiny little bit more softness that might have crept into your being from those sighs. As a metaphor we were working with a couple weeks ago, thinking about softening as walls coming down. If you kind of run with that visualization, at the same time that we soften to come back to center, we also allow ourselves to lean into these more expansive nature, this expansive nature of our being as we soften. The meditation I'm going to offer out this morning is a metta practice, which translates as loving kindness. And what's kind of interesting tying these two things together is that in yogic practices and the yogic beliefs, there is this concept that we are all so intimately connected, all living things are intimately connected, and that our truest nature, our kind of our most true essence of being is this kind of limitless compassion. It's this kind of loving awareness that exists within us. So when we enter a practice like this, cultivating loving kindness, we can think of it less as a practice where we are kind of going out to find all of these things, but instead it's often about allowing ourselves to start to come back to them. So if it feels possible, see if you can keep inviting just a little more softness, soften the edges of the body. Then if you'd like to engage in this meditation, we're going to begin with offering it in towards the self this morning. So there's a few visualizations you can work with if you like. Some people like to visualize breathing in and out of the center of the chest, energetic heart space. Others prefer to picture themselves in their mind's eye, kind of holding them there. You can work with a bit of both if you like. Gently beginning to center yourself on the breath. I'll guide us through this morning using 4 simple phrases that we essentially offer out like a little mantra or a gentle blessing. You can repeat them silently in the mind. If you prefer, you can sort of speak them out loud if that feels interesting or if that feels helpful. It can sometimes be a really powerful exercise to kind of hear your own voice offering these things out. So when you're ready to begin, the first phrase we'll offer is, "May I be safe." Allowing yourself to connect with the language. Let the words run through you. Just gently, earnestly offering this blessing, may I be safe. Second phrase, may I be healthy. Just wishing yourself well. May I be healthy. If the mind wanders, that's okay. It's what the mind does. Just each time, draw yourself back to the practice, gently catch yourself. You can use the breath if that's helpful. Time and time again, come back. Our third phrase, may I be happy. May I be happy. And then lastly, may I be peaceful. May I be peaceful. When you feel ready, you can allow yourself to let go of any repetition of the words. Just come back to sit with your own heart, staying steady there, breathing yourself in, breathing yourself out. Let's take one more big sigh together. Inhale, sighing it out. At the end of your exhale, we'll let the chin drop down to the chest, and then gently begin to rock the head side to side. Just gently beginning to ease into movement, beginning to ease into sensation. No, there isn't really a right or wrong way to feel. The wonderful thing about a lot of these mindfulness practices is that there really is no sort of nailing it, there's no perfecting it, there's no performing it. There's really just practice. We just allow ourselves to kind of humbly, diligently return back and just start to lay these pathways for ourselves. Every day will be a little bit different, what it might stir, what it might bring up or connect us to. And we do our best just to give ourselves that space to welcome in the wholeness of our experience as it might arise. When you're ready, you can begin to take circles around the axis of the neck, just expanding that movement. Circles might feel really good. You might prefer more of a kind of figure of 8 motion, or you can just sort of move freely. If other parts of the spine want to start to get involved, feel free to let them. You can start to wiggle around a little bit more. Keeping your breath with you as you start to ease in. Just welcoming yourself into this connection of movement and breath, beginning to flow with one another. When you're ready, come to sit tall and let's sync together movement and breath. Your next inhale will start to sweep up the arms, lift the hands to prayer, up above the head. As you exhale, press the palms onto one another as you draw them down through center. One more just like that. Inhale, it's going to sweep up. Maybe gently look up. Exhale, press the hands onto one another. Tracing the breath. We'll lift the arms out one more time. Then we're going to make our way to a tabletop, either rolling over your knees or taking them out to the side. We're going to meet with the hands about shoulder distance apart and the knees about hips distance apart. Now this morning I want to give you a little bit of time to just move organically here. So you can just begin to kind of shift your center of gravity. It might be from knee to knee, hand to hand. That might stay quite static. Or again, you can just start to move freely, kind of exploring different pockets of sensation, of tightness, of space that might be around the body today. And just beginning to breathe with them. There's an ujjayi in your practice. If you'd like to start to control the breath in the back of the throat, feel free to draw that in. Otherwise, just allowing yourself to stay with your steady breath. We're going to keep moving. You can keep the hands as they are. If you want to open to the wrists and the forearms a little more, you can start to turn the fingertips so they point towards the edges of your mat. So still just allowing yourself to breathe, to move. Maybe start to get subtle with the sensations you can feel. Notice when the weight shifts from your fingertips, the thumbs, heels of the hands, different sides, the knees, maybe even the toes and the ankles. Again, you can keep the hands where they are. If you want to go deeper still, start to turn the fingertips so they point back towards the knees. Now, depending what your wrists or your forearms have been up to, this one can feel super intense. So if you want to take it a little softer, but you still want to give this version of flexion a go, just take your hands a little closer to the knees, and then you'll kind of have a little bit more control of the way you're shifting back. I climbed for too long yesterday, and it hurts for me. Okay, when you're ready, let's start to release that out. Hands under the shoulders. We'll create a little clawing motion in the fingers and we'll cat-cow together. Let's inhale, wrap the shoulders back. And then exhale, press the ground away. One more like that. Inhale to open. This time as you exhale, begin to tuck your toes, lift up the hips to come towards your downward facing dog. Now it's our first full down dog of the practice, so as always, feel free to be gentle with yourself. You might want to start to welcome in any little movements. Could look like bending both your knees or starting to bend one than the other. See if you can create some softness again around the back of the neck. If the breath starts to constrict, a sigh can always be really lovely. Make a little bit of space. And for me, I always step my hands a little closer to my feet. It just allows me to feel a little bit more stable, shortening the stance. Feel free to play with that if you like. Okay, if you're continuing to flow, let's inhale the right leg up to the sky. Bend the knee and open up the hip. Relax down the back of your neck. One more breath here. Then nice and simple, as you exhale, the foot comes down to the ground. You might want to pause in down dog. Or if you prefer, you could ripple through a spinal wave. If you step the feet a little closer, you might have to step them back a little bit. Exhale, ripples you back. Press through the hands, hips come high. And then we'll go for second side. Inhale the left leg up. Bend the knee, open the hip. One more breath. Exhale, the foot comes down. Again, you might want a spinal wave, or you could hold in your down dog. We meet back in down dog at the end of the exhale. Inhale finds tiptoes. Start to bend your knees, walking, stepping or jumping. However you make your way to the top of the mat, we'll all meet in Uttanasana, forward fold. Let the chin drop down to your chest. If you like a little sway here, hands can come to opposite elbows. See if you can release down the back of the neck. Releasing your hands, let's inhale, come up halfway, weight to the heels, heart forwards. And then exhale down. One more like that, inhale. Exhale down. Whole way to standing, press down through your feet, lift up your hands, lift up your gaze, look up to the thumbs. Exhale, the hands come down through prayer. We take a few breaths here, Samastitihi, eyes can be opened or closed. Ground through the feet, Padabandha, lift the top of the head. Gently tuck the chin to the chest, lengthen the back of the neck, Jalandhara Bandha. We'll take one more inhale here together. As you exhale, soften the shoulders, hands can come down. Decide if there's a particular intention for your movements today. What it is that you'd like to draw into the body or explore through your movements. It can be a nice practice sometimes to think of this movement practice almost like it was going to be an extension of that loving kindness practice. Just one of the ways that we start to explore a more loving relationship with ourselves. Allow ourselves to keep coming back. Whatever your intention might be. Let's inhale together. And exhale. Inhale, sweep the fingertips high, look to the thumbs. As you exhale, feel free to bend the knees. Uttanasana, forward fold, chin to chest. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, take the hands to the ground as you work your way back to your plank. Knees can be up or down as you prefer. Let's take one more inhale, press the ground away, look forwards. Exhale, come the whole way down to the ground, draw the elbows in. Inhale, Bhujangasana, Cobra. Grip the fingertips, drag the chest through, shoulders back, point the toes. Exhale, you're making your way back to down dog. If you'd like to, it can sometimes be really nice to touch other poses along the way. You can take a moment in your child's pose, hang out there. You might want to pause in your tabletop. Have a little wiggle around, side to side. And then as and when you do feel ready, we can come back towards our downward facing dog. Take one more breath in your variation. Then when you're ready, we'll inhale tiptoes. Bend your knees, look past the hands, walking, stepping or jumping. Inhale, chest forwards. And then exhale to soften down. Whole way back to standing. Press down through your feet, lift up your hands, lift up your gaze. Straight back down, exhale, forward fold, dive down. Inhale, half lift. Now it's your vinyasa. You can stay with what we just did, or you might start to add in your own variation. Could be a jump. You might be landing bent elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, lift the chest. Whether it's back to cobra or this pose I'm demoing would be up dog, lifting the thighs and engaging the glutes. And then when you're ready, you make it back to down dog. Again, if you wanted to swap it out for any of those other poses, take any movements, any wiggles that feel good today, you're more than welcome to stay in down dog. If you want to play with a little bit of balance and a twist, we're going to work with twisted dog. So again, it can be nice to shorten your stance. We're going to take the right hand onto the left leg. You can first focus on the twist. Think about kind of drawing yourself under the armpit and think about squaring the hips. So balance the press in your feet. Oh. One more breath there. You might just want to enjoy the twist. It feels lovely for me today. Or if you want to work with balance, take the hand onto the front of your ankle. It can be helpful to look towards the center of your mat. First come onto the big toe. Heel might lift or the leg might extend. Try to keep the breath steady. There's no rush. One more breath where you are. And then we'll meet back, hands, feet on the ground. You can take a sigh between sides, maybe drop the knees, take what you need. Then the second side, left hand comes to the right leg. You might want to pause, enjoy the twist, relax down the back of the neck. If you're working your balance, start to look to the center of your mat. Come onto the left big toe, you might want to pause, or you might work on extending up the leg. Try to keep the eyes and the breath steady. Then we'll meet back, hands and feet on the ground. This time we keep it moving. Inhale, tiptoes. Bend your knees, look past the hands. If you're jumping, press to the hands. Inhale, chest forwards. And then exhale to soften down. Come the whole way back to standing. Press down through your feet, lift hands, lift gaze. Exhale the hands down through prayer. 2 breaths here. If it feels constricted, take a sigh. Inhaling. If they're not there already, let the hands come down, Tadasana. We're going to inhale, chair pose, sit the hips low, sweep up the arms. Exhale, Surya B variation to fold, chin to chest. Inhale, it's halfway lift. Your transition back, if you're jumping, you could play with taking some weight into the hands first before you come back. Inhaling. Noticing if an option you take stops you breathing. And exhaling. Let's inhale the right leg to the sky. Take the knee to the nose and dome the spine when you press the ground away. Inhale the leg back high. Then we take the knee back to the nose, press the ground away, but this time we're working the foot towards the hands. This transition can be a little bit of a faff, so slowly work the foot forwards. You can use your hand to help you if you like. And the left knee comes down. We're going to work again with circles today. Let's inhale the arms up. Think of tracing a circle, lean back, engage the glutes, exhale. 2 more at your own pace. Inhale. If it feels a little sticky in the shoulders, you can always experiment with bending the arms instead. 1 more, inhale. Exhale, think about leaning back. Hands come to the ground. Choose your transition back to down dog. You might want a vinyasa. You could take a moment to rest in your child's pose, maybe a cat-cow. Take what feels good. And we'll be back in down dog. Let's inhale, left leg to the sky. Exhale, knee to the nose, dome the spine. Inhale the leg high. Exhale, knee to the nose. This time we're stepping the foot towards the hand, right knee down. Inhale is going to sweep up. 3 circles. Inhale up. Exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. Hands come to frame your front foot. Choose your transition. You might want to stick with your vinyasa. You might take a moment to soften. Inhaling. And exhaling. 2 breaths in your option of choice. Your next exhale, let's meet back in down dog. If you're continuing to flow, we come back to the top of the mat. Inhale, tiptoe, shoulders forwards. Exhale, bend the knees, walk, step or jump, press to the palms. Inhale. And exhale down. Back to chair pose. Bend your knees, sweep the arms up by the ears. Now this time we're gonna pause. Press down through the outsides of your feet. See if you could look to your hands. One more breath. Then Ardha Utkatasana, half chair pose. Start to bring the body down parallel with the ground. You can keep the hands reaching forwards if you like, or reach the fingertips back towards your glutes. Weight to your heels, option 1. Weight to your tiptoes, lift the heels, option 2. Think about Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, pelvic floor, lower core. Find a little bit of engagement, soften the eyes. And then take the knees out wide, the hands to the ground. So kind of like a really active variation of a child's pose. Stretch out the feet, the hips, and the upper back. There might be some really nice sensation here today. You can pause there. Or it can work as a lovely prep towards Bakasana, crow pose, or if you like, crow pose to headstand. I know there's some keen headstanders joining us online today. So if you want to give it a go, you're going to take your hands under your shoulders, lift up the hips, and first work your crow. Squeeze the knees to outer biceps and look forwards. You might pause, or you might work on peeling the feet. If you're working the headstand transition, you think of a triangle. Top of the head is the top of the triangle, and you've got to bend your arms deeper, then slowly tuck the chin to the chest to see if you could start to work on lifting up. Now you've got to think about your descent. If you have been in crow, you might want to step or jump back. Same if you've been in supported child's pose. If you're in a headstand, we can pike the legs. We're going to inhale, exhale, shoot the feet to the back of the mat. Inhale, lift, give it a go if you like. And we meet back in a down dog. Okay, from here, we're going to come back to the top of the mat. Inhale, tiptoes. Bend your knees, look past the hands, walk, step or jump. Inhale. Exhale, fold. We pause in our fold, hands to the backs of the legs. Inhale, lift slightly. And exhale down. See if you can catch the breath, take a hold of it. Draw yourself back. Okay, when you're ready, this might be a fun place to use blocks. If you're really comfortable with the hands flat down on the ground, they can stay there. If you've got blocks, they're going to be a really nice help here. So, we're going to think about starting to shift your weight onto your right foot. And first, see if you could just peel off the left leg. See if you can lift it off the ground, compress the hip, bring it down. Same. Now you're going to extend the leg out to the side. I'm so out of breath. Inhale. I don't normally demo this much. Bring the leg out to the side, lift the chest, and then down. Now we're going to bring it up to a balance. So a couple options. It might be left hand under the knee, or you can take the peace fingers to the big toe. Right hand comes to your hip. It will be 2 bent legs or 2 straight legs. Use an inhale to draw you up. If you like, the leg can extend. Again, find that feeling of compressing the hip, draw it in. One more breath, lift the heart, square the shoulders. Soften the eyes, and then start to draw the leg out to the side. 2 more breaths here. Arm can come out for balance if you like. Now we're going to work some active mobility in the hip. You're going to release, bend up the leg. Think of drawing the leg up and back, up and back, up and back. We're going to take an active dances. So take the hands to prayer. Draw the elbows back and feel like you're kind of trying to will your foot and your hands towards one another. One more breath. Try to stay breathing. And then release, feet to the ground. Hands down, Tadasana. Inhale. Sigh out. Second side, inhale up. Exhale, fold. Hands come to the ground or to your blocks. Shift your weight to the left. Flex the right foot. Inhale. Lift up the leg, take it back down. This time the foot's going to come out to the side. Inhale. Extend the leg out. And draw it down. Now you work your balance. Peace finger to the big toe or underneath the knee. Shift your weight to the left. Inhale will draw you up. Take your time to get there. Soften the eyes. Find your drishti. Then when you're ready, we draw the knee out to the side if it's not there already. One more breath. Slowly begin to release any binds. Circle the leg up and back. Active dancer's pose. Point the foot, hands together. Bend the elbows. Lift the chest. Think heart to the ceiling. One more breath. And then release. Take your blocks out to the side. We're going to come into a little bit more flow, opening into the chest. Get yourself set back up in your Tadasana. Let's inhale if you want a sigh, take a sigh. Find your focus. Next inhale, lift up the arms, look up. And then exhale down to fold. Your transition, inhale. We're meeting back in down dog, might be a vinyasa, might be a simple step back, or taking a moment to pause. Take what you like. And we'll meet back there together. Now from here, we're going to inhale, ripple back forwards to a plank. And then exhale, come the whole way down to the ground, draw the elbows in. From here, take the arms out so they're in a sort of cactus position. And we're going to work into the chest. We call this a scorpion twist. So we're going to bend up the right leg and then start to roll over towards the left-hand side. Try to let the back of the neck sort of drop down, side of the head drop. If there's any space, feel free to use a prop, maybe a block, to kind of rest your head down onto. Now you might get some really nice sensation into this left shoulder. If so, feel free to stay, maybe the side of the chest. If you wanted to play with a little bit more, if you feel like there's a little bit more space there, start to change the rotation of the hand. So now it comes towards the small of your back. The right hand can release, reach the fingertips towards one another. You can even start to work a bind, pulling the knuckles away. Or if you like, kick the foot into your hands. One more breath. When you're ready to release, the hands come back under your shoulders and the right knee is going to come out to the side for a half frog position. We're going to press ourselves up onto the hands. For everyone, it's a little bit different where the sensation is, so have a little explore. If you want to shift your weight side to side, maybe work with going up and down. Or one I really like is kind of taking it into more of an up dog feeling. So really pressing through your back foot so the leg lifts, drag the hips forwards. And then place it down. Nice, one more breath. Bring it down. The transition is straight to split dog. So the right leg's going to come up and over. Inhale, tuck the back toe. And then we're going to lift the whole way up and over. You might want to stay here, enjoy it here. If you wanted to explore your wild thing, we'll begin to drop the right foot to the ground on the other side of the left leg, lifting the heart up and over. Now this might be a really lovely place to be. If you did want to work any other options, if you want to work it stronger, you can play with floating the right leg. You can even start to play with a bind, reaching the right hand back, squeezing the foot to your glute. One more breath. Start to release, look to your left hand. Right hand comes back down, inhale the right arm back up. Anjaneyasana, knee to the nose, step the foot in between the hands and bring the left knee down. So we're going to be pausing on this left knee a little more. So if you want to take any more support, it can sometimes be really nice to wrap your mat over if you get any tenderness in your knee. And then a few options. We're working a little deeper into the quad and the hip flex. So you can interlace the hands, take them onto the thigh. Maybe it's a little bit of movement here. If you prefer, you could work a bit of a bind, starting to peel up your back foot. You can squeeze it in. If you feel like there's quite a lot of space, oh, I don't know if there is for me today. You could go mermaid bind, coming into your elbow point, lifting the chest. If you wanted to work more strength, you could think of binding up and over. Kapotasana bind. One more breath. Release from your option. And then we're going to work with Hanumanasana. So half splits or your full splits. We extend the leg. If you want to take your blocks, take your blocks. They can be nice for support. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, folds. You might be happy in Ardha Hanumanasana. You might want to play with the foot and the knee going further away. If you are a person where you're naturally quite low down, you're going to keep that back toe tucked and we'll work with more strength. And you're going to think about squaring the hips, pressing down so much, maybe you could even float your hands. One more breath. Take the hands down if they're not there already. And then we're going to bend up the front leg and we're going to meet into standing splits. So if you're using your blocks, slide them forwards with you. Inhale or lift your chest. Exhale to think about folding. You could keep working with that ripple. Quite a few options I'm going to give here. You could work with a little bit of balance. One hand to the ankle, even two hands towards your ankle. Or if you prefer, you can take this as a little bit of time to work your inversion, work towards your handstand. If you have a wall nearby, feel free to use your wall. Might look like a couple hops, or you might want to start to work your press. So I'm more of a presser than a hopper. What a press would look like is, again, think of that inhale, lift, exhale, fold. It's a similar feeling, but we're taking the weight into the hands and you're rolling the shoulders over your knuckles. So we're going to inhale, lift. Exhale, we press the ground away. Use that top leg to lift. Now you might stay there. And we're going to start to think about our descent. If you're holding in a handstand or you want to work a hop, you're going to think of the right foot coming back first as you exhale. Give it a little go. Might be interesting, might not be interesting at all. Either of those are fine. We're going to take a moment in a still pose of your choice. Could be a down dog, could be a dolphin, taking their elbows down. Might be a child's pose or even a tabletop. But just take a few moments to soften. To come back to the body. Maybe come back to the breath. If there was an intention you wanted to knit to that breath or explore through these movements today, maybe just taking a few moments to connect back with it. If it feels accessible, you can breathe it in. And breathe it out. If you're enjoying the rest, now you can stay as long as you like. If you want to start to come towards second side, we'll meet back in plank. Knees lifted or knees down. Exhale the whole way down to the ground. Take your elbows out wide. Prepare for scorpion twist. Left knee's going to bend up. Then we roll over to the left-hand side. Again, you might be pausing here, relaxing down the neck, or take a support for the neck. This might feel good. If you wanted to work a little more into the shoulders, change the rotation of the right hand to reach the fingertips back. You might be there, you might be working the foot to the hands. So many sound effects from me today. This can be a sound effect kind of day. One more breath. Then start to release, half frog pose. Take the knee out to the side. And then a little bit of movement here. So you can press yourself onto the hands. You might want to sway. You might want to drag the hips slightly forwards. When you're ready, it comes back down. The transition is straight to split dog. So left leg comes up and open, kind of stays up and open. Tuck your back toe, inhale. You might want to stay there, or you might want to explore wild thing. Dropping the foot to the ground, lifting the hips, lifting the heart. Engage the glutes if you can. If you want to work a little more strength, It'll feel more like a side plank. Grip your fingers, see if you can float the left foot. Maybe left hand comes back for a bind, maybe not. One more breath. Start to look back to your right hand. Inhale the left leg up. Knee to the nose, Anjaneyasana. We step the foot towards the hands. Right knee down. Okay, we're hanging out for a little bit of time here. Any support for your knee, feel free to grab. You might want to take the hands onto your thigh. Work with some movement. You might feel like starting to peel up your back foot, a little bit more of a balance. You'll see quite naturally I took my foot a little further out to the side when I began to lose balance. If you think about if your foot and your knee are in one line, it's kind of like a tightrope. Then the more space you give yourself, the more stability you're going to have, the more sort of grounding. So yeah, you might be here, you might be here, you might be working your bind. Take your time, you don't need to rush the body. Try and breathe with what you find. And we release. Ardha Hanumanasana or full Hanumanasana straight in the front leg. You might want to take your blocks. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, folds. You might want to stay. You might slide the foot and the knee further away if you haven't already. Same cues as before. See if you can keep it quite active. Maybe you float the hands. See if you could float the hips. And release. Standing splits. Rebend your front leg. Blocks come forwards or hands come forwards. Inhale, lifts the chest. Exhale, domes. So same. You might want to pause here, work the sensation. You might be working a hand or two to the ankle. If you're newer to that, sometimes it feels more stable with straight arms, a little bit more stability. Then once you build the stability, you can fold a little more. Or you can work handstand hops, maybe a little press. Feel free to use a wall. We're going to inhale. Exhale, press the ground away. Look just in front of the hands. Draw the hips to square. I hope I don't break my lamp. I'm just going to move that. I'm going to do one more. Take your time if you're still flowing. Again, we're going to be meeting back in a still pose of your choice. Whether that's going to be a child's pose, a tabletop, a down dog. Exhaling. I'm going to give a chest opening option. If you're in child's pose, take the palms, they press onto one another. Then we reach the fingertips up to the ceiling. Keep them going in that direction. Thumb reaches back towards the base of your neck. You're going to wiggle the elbow points forwards if you want more sensation. Then really keep pressing down into them. This might feel lovely. You might want to take a similar option but have more weight in the shoulders, have it a bit more dynamic for the body. Then you can take the hands down, keep them as they are, and turn it into a dolphin variation, pressing the elbows away. And for chest opening, we're going to think forehead to big toes. You can stay. If you know you want to work your Pincha Mayurasana or a little bit of inversion play, again, feel free to use a wall. We'll lift up a leg. Then you think about kind of tipping one way. Use a split leg to help you. And then when you're ready, slowly work the feet back down to switch sides. Inhale. Exhale. Just one more breath where you are. And when you're ready, bring yourself to a comfortable seat. That might be rolling up to sit on the heels if that's comfortable. If this isn't comfortable for any reason, you can take yourself to a seated, cross-legged seat. Let's take a big inhale together. If you want to sigh it out, sigh it out. Take as many of those as you like. Give yourself a few moments to come back, to notice anything the movements might be stirring today, and seeing how you can give yourself the space just to really see that, to be with it. It's often said the first act of metta is to notice. So much of this practice of welcoming ourselves can be kind of noticing where we are in each moment. If you'd like to take the hands to the body, that can sometimes be a really lovely calming option. It can also allow us to connect with the breath a little more. Okay, from here, we're going to start to work our way to seated. We're going to take a little bit of bandha work. This will be really helpful if you have blocks. You can take them by your hips. If you don't have blocks, we can work a similar sensation. It just might be a little bit more challenging. You might want to kind of bend the legs, do it a little bit more like this, just somewhere you can really press the hands down. Legs can be any position you like. If you have blocks, I always like to take it in a kneeling pose. We're going to wrap the shoulders up. You're going to think about pressing down through your hands, straighten the arms. You might see if you could lift your knees, lift your hips, or you could even work on lifting a toe or two before you bring it down. Give the hands a shake. So all we're really working is a feeling of pressing down and kind of lifting at the same time. So take one more in your own pace. Inhale. Exhale. And then we'll work it into a jump through. If you're like, I don't want to, that's totally fine. We're going to meet seated. You can bring the hips to one side, the feet forward, Paschimottanasana. If you did want to work jump through, keep your blocks with you. They help to make your arms a bit longer. Any setting that feels good. Have them just a little bit wider than your shoulders. I'll demo it nice and slowly, but I think when you're learning the pose, it can be helpful to actually take it with a little bit more speed. So, like a down dog, step your feet closer, be kind to yourself. Now we have less distance. Thinking about the toes, going there. So we're going to look where we want to go. You're going to shift your weight forward, press the ground away. Bend your knees, little bend in the elbows. See if you could stack your feet to come through. And place it down. A jump is helpful. Take your time. However you get there, we're going to meet seated. Let's inhale, sweep up the arms. And exhale to fold. Relax down the back of your neck. You're taking a fair amount of front body opens today. So we're going to allow this to be quite a passive forward fold. So really allowing the shoulders to drop and the chin to drop to the chest. Start to come up to upright. From here, we're going to take our boat pose. Take your blocks out to the side if they're still with you. We're going to inhale here. Any variation of boat. Toes can be down, lifted, extended. Arms can extend. I'm going to take toes down today. We're going to inhale. From your variation, we'll take low boat. Exhale. Inhale back. Exhale. Inhale back. Then Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees come out wide. And again, allowing the chin to drop to the chest, doming the spine. Seeing if you can take a hold of the breath again. Find that attentiveness on the breath. That steadiness, keep drawing it back, drawing it back. You slowly come up to upright. We're going to take one more fold variation. I'm going to add in a little bit of arm balance play for any of my arm balance babes, or if you want to give it a go today. So we're going to take it's kind of like a straddle variation. We're going to think about really kind of hooking forwards. So then you're kind of like trying to, this looks ridiculous. But think about like squeezing your elbows under your knees. You're going to hold in the fold. You can extend out, relax down. You can even extend your legs. It'll kind of, we did this last week, splat you down a little bit. Not the most glam, but it feels great. You might want to stay here, or you can stay here. Now you can enjoy the fold. It's a lovely, lovely fold. If instead you wanted to work a bit of arm balance play, there's a transition to Titivasana we can take from here. It's not the most friendly transition, but we'll work with it a little bit. So first sort of, stage is taking the hands to the ground. So you're finding that hooking, seeing if you can find a feeling of kind of rocking back, lifting the feet up. Okay, so now you know they're hooked onto your arms. Then you're going to take the hands in a bit closer before you rock back forwards. You're going to inhale there. You're going to press your weight to your hands to see if you can lift your hips, maybe even straighten the legs. If you wanted to, you could transition back to crow. I don't want to. I'm going to do one more breath. Then you bring it down the way you came. If you wanted to see that again, you start here, hook, hook, hands to the ground. Inhale, lift. I bring my hands closer, shift forward. Whoop. Think about chest lifting. And then another way to get down, you can straighten the arms, flex your feet. Magic. We'll all meet on the ground. Now we're going to bring ourselves to lie down. So take the feet together if they're not there already. Inhale, lifts the chest. And exhale, rolls you down. I think it's always nice to take a few moments just to not be in any pose once you've found the ground. Just take a moment to find that support for yourself. And then at this point in the practice, I always like to offer a little bit of time for you to really be with your own practice, to be with your own body. Just start to feel in and decide if there might be any last movements or shapes you want to come through before we bring the body to stillness. You might know that it normally feels really good to close with a twist. That might be something you like. You might want to take a back bend. You could have a closing pose or a sequence that you really love. If you're not too sure, you can feel free to follow me. I'm going to take a twist on either side. If you're twisting with me, we'll switch sides. Take your time if you're still closing. But when you do feel ready to start to find your final pose, Shavasana can always look any way you'd like it to. Most traditionally, it's the body extended out long and the palms facing up. This is really just a guide. Most importantly, it's somewhere that the body feels comfortable and it feels supported. So we can kind of find this space to let go. So have a little bit of time, play around. I'm also going to offer a little bit more of a guided meditation during this time. So if you know you normally like to meditate seated and that will be comfortable for you, you're more than welcome to find a seat. And then as and when you have found your way, invitation to take a couple deep sighs, kind of signifying the release of the physical practice. Big inhale. Sighing it out. Take as many of those as you like. Now you might want to take this time as a more traditional Shavasana, time to simply soften, to rest, to open. If so, please do just allow my voice to start to become a part of the soundscape. If you'd prefer to come back to this meditation, it's going to be a slightly different offering from when we began. The same practice, but instead of offering it to ourselves, we're now going to begin to offer the practice outwards. So you can take to mind a group of some form, a collective that you're a part of. Could be as simple as the people in your building, in your house. It could be a family unit, people with shared identity, a shared experience, whatever it might be. If there's something in particular that feels like it comes to mind or resonates today, just start to bring them in. Center yourself again on the heart. And then we gently offer the same practice. May we be safe. Allowing it to expand outwards. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be healthy. May we be happy. May we be happy. May we be peaceful. May we be peaceful. If you've been engaging in the meditation, when you're ready, you can let go of the words. Allow yourself to come back and to sit with your heart. Noticing anything that may or may not have arisen. Doing our best to sit there with a curiosity, with an openness. And when you feel ready, we'll begin to deepen the breath to start to draw us back. You can take any little movements, fingers, toes, maybe the head. In your own time, allowing that to extend. Oh, maybe it's a few gentle stretches. Another lovely option can always be to take the hands to the body, a little more grounding, a little more soothing. Then at your own time and your own pace, we're slowly going to begin to work our way to a seat where we'll close today. If there's anything you need, stretches, if you want to pause on one side or take any props, take your time. Let this kind of loving practice continue. Once you've found your seat, we'll use an inhale to lift the top of the head. Exhale to soften the shoulders. Taking a few moments again to meet yourself here. knowing at the heart of our practice is coming back to this connection. Time and time again, letting go, coming back, letting go, coming back. Throughout all the colors, throughout all the shapes. At the core of it, we're allowing ourselves to keep returning to what yoga means. Yoga means union, it means connection. Perhaps even feeling into this connection that's beyond just us. Beyond to the way we connect with those around us. This loving awareness that sits at the core of who we are. When you feel ready, bring the hands to prayer. Remind yourself it is a practice, not something we perfect, not something we perform. We don't have to immediately bloom into abundant love or bliss. But we patiently and gently allow ourselves to just keep coming back to the practice. We'll inhale together. Exhale to bow your head. Bow to your heart. Thank yourself for your dedication and this time that you put aside. Bow to the body, the way it supports you, not just through your practice, but through your life. And then bowing to the practices themselves. Both this metta practice and the yoga asana practice are so ancient. They've kind of been passed down through thousands of years across cultures, continents, and kind of one way or another found themselves here with us today. So honoring the ancestors, the lineages of these teachings, all of those that have taken part of them before us, and all who might continue these practices after us. We'll seal the space today with the thumbs at the center of the brow, intuition space. Let's take a final inhale and exhale to close. Take the time you need to close your practice. Thank you so much for being here with me. Always wonderful to have you. If you have any questions or thoughts or just anything you want to chat about, feel free to reach out. Have a lovely, lovely rest of your day or evening or morning, whatever time it might be when you're doing this class today. Sending you lots and lots of love. Hopefully see you next time.